those false substances, those synthetic substances, do not hold the template of nature. If you look into a tree and fruits, seashells, stars, you see the star pattern, okay? It's the human. It's the human form, okay? So that's nature's template. Yoga and weight loss seems to be a incredibly popular topic. I feel like I'm qualified to speak on yoga and weight loss because it's part of my history. But right off the bat, I'm just going to go over some of the most important points. So a lot of people get into yoga because they want to lose weight, or because they want to get fit. And while there's nothing wrong with that, there needs to be at some point a realization that yoga is actually reaching for something that is beyond the physical body.
And ultimately, yoga is not necessarily about fitness, but it is true that you do need a certain base level of fitness in order to do yoga. But if you're truly interested in the path of yoga, it's important to have a basic understanding that yoga is about
the cultivation of something that is beyond purely the physical. Because yoga has everything to do with purification of what they call the kosha, panchamaya kosha, or the 5 sheaths. Sheaths are just like these coverings that are for the soul, the spirit. So weight loss is all about this meat thing, this food, what they call the food sheath. Literally in Sanskrit it's called the annamaya kosha, which means the sheath that is fed by food. So at the beginning of your practice, the practice is all about the purification and the refinement of this food sheath.
And so we refine the food sheath through a certain set of exercises known as asanas and a certain diet. It's only after this stage has been mastered to a certain degree, then one goes on to the second sheath, which is the pranamaya kosha, and that sheath is cultivated through breathing practices, or pranayama. And pranayama becomes very relevant to this discussion because of the calming and soothing effects it has on the nervous system, which is often the driver behind people's overeating itself. In terms of physical exercise, while there's nothing wrong with wanting to use yoga to lose weight or get fit,
if you're purely interested in physical fitness, then I'm just going to say right off the bat, there's a lot of disciplines and practices that are going to be more efficient for you than yoga, like Zumba. I don't know much about it, but I think that's pretty much just, it's dance and coordination and exercise and calisthenics, and this is purely for the physical body. Pilates, this is for the physical body. Okay, any kind of going to the gym, lifting weights, running on the beach, nothing wrong with that, it's beautiful. Biking is purely for the physical body, even though the other bodies do benefit from that. But pulling it back to the intention with yoga is we're reaching for something that's beyond the physical body. That's the first point that I want to make. Having said all that, there's nothing wrong with having some other type of fitness program going on alongside of your yoga practice, as long as you're aware that it is not undoing what you're doing with yoga, and it is not consuming too much of your physical energy. Because this is another place where Westerners get kind of a little hiccup with their yoga practice, is because yoga is, we're cultivating prana. When prana is cultivated to a certain degree, it becomes this radiant Shakti, it becomes this power, okay? But that's, down the line. But if you're too physically active, you're doing massage and you're running and you're teaching and you're doing all these different things that are running down your physical energy, you're not going to be making deposits into your pranic bank account. And that is what yoga is about. It is about this cultivation of this vital energy that is then available to do things that ordinary people cannot do, but yogis can do. So if you're not fit, if you're overweight, then it's okay to have some kind of fitness regime that is even separate or integrated into your yoga practice. However you do it, we're all individuals and there's no one way, there's no one size fits all. So I really encourage everyone to find their process that works for you. So let's talk about food. So the first thing that you want to become aware of, because yoga is about consciousness above and beyond anything else. It's about becoming conscious. So we have to be conscious of what we are eating, what we're putting in our mouths, and we need to be conscious while we're doing it. So that means we're not eating when we're working on our computer, we're not eating when we're looking at our cell phone, we're not eating when we're driving. When we're eating, we're just eating, okay? And that is our meditation, that is our yoga in that moment. And this is like a consciousness diet, it's like a consciousness fast.
I guarantee that if you can bring that level of awareness into your eating, then you are going to see some positive shifts in your weight. Because if you're overweight, there is probably a certain amount of unconscious eating going on habitually.
Once you've brought consciousness to your eating, you want to avoid fake foods, processed foods, what I call non-foods. You want to avoid non-foods. Now I'm going to show a little tiny brief video here in just a second, because I was just amazed that I was in the store. I mean, you can go into any store and you can see this, but there's nothing in there that's food. It's none of it's food. It's all a bunch of fake garbage. It's not only garbage, it's poisonous garbage. It's garbage that will pollute and obstruct your body. So you want to avoid fake foods, junk foods, processed foods, non-foods, and GMO foods. So one reason that you want to avoid these foods is, aside from the obvious fact that they're not feeding you, they're only creating obstruction in your organs, particularly your liver, which everything is filtered through your liver. So subtly poisoning you. It's like what I call a slow poison. It's not going to kill you, if you eat that bag of Doritos, but if you live on those things, over time, it's a slow poison. But the other reason is that those false substances, those synthetic substances, do not hold the template of nature. They don't hold nature's template, which if you cut into any fruit, if you look into a pine cone, if you look into a tree, seashells, stars, you see the star pattern, okay? It's the human. It's the human form, okay? So that's nature's template. So you want to be consuming foods that hold nature's template. If you're consuming processed foods, and this is including pharmaceutical drugs, sorry, but synthetic substances, they have a different template. They have a template that is not a human template. So yoga practice is something, the asana practice is something that can and will perfect the human form in that it's bringing form into its perfect natural symmetry, its perfect natural balance. And that's what most people are really looking for, I believe. And it's not only aesthetic, but it is highly functional, okay? Nature doesn't make things, you know, just so they look nice. I mean, they do look nice, but it's also the most efficient way to process prana, process chi, process life force, for it to flow and for it to create other forms.
So thank you so much for staying with me this long, if you're still with me. And I had to quit recording because of the incredible background noise. But this will be continued in the next video in this series. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.